Welcome to Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue with myself, Malcolm Berman, and my co-host, Deborah Manning, heard on malcolmpresents.com, a new, well, it's not new anymore, it's 2 years, but a new streaming internet platform where we have a variety of shows and it's on a 24/7 basis. So anytime you have some time, in the morning before you sleep, or you want to be informed about what the hell's happening in the world from a different perspective, go to malcolmpresents.com. Anyway, Deborah, how are you today?
I'm just great. How are you, Malcolm?
I'm okay. And I don't know if I'm not smiling. Do I smile all the time?
Well, it's very, things are very, very troubled. Let me tell you, my name is Deborah Manning. I'm a former news reporter out of Los Angeles. Left the city about 5.5 years ago, almost 6.5 years ago, I guess. I came here to Greenville, South Carolina, because this was an enclave for middle-class folks. And interesting being down here in the deep South. South Carolina was, of course, the first state to divide from the Union and started the whole Civil War situation. So it's very, very interesting. But as I say, we are enjoying, my husband and I are enjoying the South Carolina, and it's quite an education. It's different, and it's not as la-di-da as California. However, I do say that in my education of listening to ordinary people, it's quite refreshing. They have very simple needs. And one of the things that we just saw today, unfortunately, inflation has now gone up to 8.6%. That's our consumer price index. It's way up. Everybody was surprised. And as a result, stock market is going way, way down. As of just a couple minutes ago, let me take a quick look. Yeah, the Dow was down 624 points, almost down 2% to 31,600. The NASDAQ, which of course is technology and what have you, is down 325 points, about almost 3% down to 11,400. And the S&P, which is a small cap stock, is down about 2.11%, down to 39.32. And the stock market at this point right now is heeding the talk that we had about 2 months ago, saying that consumers are really starting to pull back. I know that this family is really pulling back. The gas prices here are starting to crest 450. Gas prices, for example, I know are now at about a 40-year high. From a year ago, we're looking at gas prices going up 49.5%. Nationally, we're looking at gas prices at $4.95. But you told me, what are your gas prices there in Southern California?
Right now it's about, I think 650, but that was today.
I think my real concern, and as I say, Malcolm and I have been friends for a long, long time. And one of the reasons we decided to get to do this program is that as a news reporter, I was always to show both sides of the spectrum. And however, personally, I've always kind of was more of a conservative. Malcolm has always been towards more of the liberal side of things. And the reason we're doing the program is to see whether ordinary people, he and I, we're ordinary folks, can find some common ground to be able to see our way through, because we're Americans. First and foremost, we're Americans.
Yes, we always say we want to do what's best for the country and for people. But again, the older I get, I'm becoming more an internationalist, because as I see it, there's no really countries anymore almost. It's sort of like one world. I hate to be like idealistic, but I can be any place, in California, and I get phone calls. I get phone calls from all over the world. I mean, I was waiting online at the bank, and I got a call from Poland. One of my clients in Poland. I call up AT&T to get some things. I get a fulfillment service in Manila or Jamaica. Something happens any place in the world, it affects us. I mean, the war in I'm going to say Yucatan, but the war in Ukraine, I mean, it's affecting the grain prices all over the world. There's nothing that's now not part, make America great. It's make the world great again.
Well, I think the problem though has been at this point right now, and I watched part of the January 6th committee extravaganza last night. And what really does concern me is I feel very strongly that the Democrats are in danger of really overplaying their hand here. I would like to see congressional hearings on how to reduce inflation. I would like to see congressional hearings on making sure that we have baby formula, that we have food available. I'm not certain that this Hollywood produced committee hearing really is going to be playing well, especially when every one of us is limiting our gasoline consumption, because frankly, I mean, you have Democratic senators who are bragging about the fact that they could whiz back along highways and not worry about the gasoline prices because they had an electric car. Well, la-di-da. Unfortunately, an electric car here in South Carolina is probably the exact same cost as a house here. And that's one of the reasons that I was forced as a California native to move here to South Carolina, strictly the economics. I couldn't afford to have my family sit in California. So,
but you're doing what most of like Fox Newscast does,
oh, stop it.
and the Republicans do. They're downplaying the role that Trump played, and it was a coup. I mean
listen, Trump, you can't keep blaming Trump. They're blaming Trump for the inflation. And when
I'm
they
not talking about the inflation.
they blame Putin on the inflation. This is nuts. We're all suffering, Malcolm. We're all suffering.
Yeah, but you can do people can do more than one thing at one time. I mean, you could go into the have a committee, to doing the resurrection, the insurrection, or the resurrection, and you can also do things to do, to try to stem the inflation and try to lower gas prices.
Well, if you
can do the same thing.
If you focus in on January the 6th, I do wonder why we have ordinary Americans have been incarcerated, fair and speedy trials, question mark, incarcerated for more than 250 days. What the hell is going on? Why are we incarcerating normal everyday Americans for a year and a half? No charges against these people. And there's a bunch of folks, not just one or two. There are a hell of a lot. In fact, we actually don't know how many at this point right now. So what in the world is this all about? Why would you incarcerate ordinary people? If, like, for example, you and I had gone for some odd reason to the Capitol for some odd reason, you realize that they would have picked up all of us if we have gone to the Capitol.
Not necessarily. If I was part of the riot and was carrying an AK-15 or an assault weapon, or had a two-way radio and communicating with how to break into it and yelling kill Pence.
Weren't those the FBI agents that were planted with the group?
I was speaking to a friend of mine. He's a friend. He was saying, no, that's Antifa. I mean, and they were pretending to be. They were wearing MAGA hats because they were pretending to be, Trump supporters, but they're not. But the whole thing, and we saw the films, and we saw the tapes, and we saw him speaking. And we saw, and they were telling about how these different people get together, are getting together. And then we saw his daughter saying, we told him that the election was, wasn't rigged. And we saw Barr telling him that, no, it was not a false election. You lost. Okay. And you hear him continuing to tell the people, we didn't lose. It was fixed. It was rigged. If you want to, you have to go and protest to the government. You have to prevent Pence from, ratifying the election. I mean, you tell me what does he have to do to, say that Trump is bad in that case? I'm not saying necessarily. We're not discussing whether his policies are good or bad. We're discussing what he did with the election right now. Let's base on that. And that has nothing to do with inflation, with the gas company, where the hunter was should be criminal, whether who killed JFK. It was basically, what did Trump do during that period?
Well, once again, you and I have a difference of opinion in terms of personal responsibility. Each and every one of those people were not mind bots of Donald Trump. They had personal responsibility to either go into the Capitol or leave. Very, very simple. Many of those people decided to go into the Capitol. I don't want them not prosecuted. I want them prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I do not want to see the Capitol invaded by anybody other than those elected officials, which sometimes is an invasion unto itself. But needless to say, I find it amazing that what we're focusing in on was something that happened basically a year and a half ago. I'm very concerned that many of these people are being held in jail after a year and a half. Why do we not have charges against these individuals? Because we do have the mandate for a fast and speedy trial. And the other thing I don't quite understand is, for example, we're now seeing death threats against the Supreme Court. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stood in front of the Supreme Court. When was it? April? I guess it was April, and basically said to Gorsuch and to some of the other Supreme Court judges that they have unleashed a whirlwind and they don't know what's going to hit them. I don't understand why you have the Senate Majority Leader who is basically advocating violence. And I don't understand why, for example, we're having demonstrations in front of the homes of Supreme Court justices. That is a violation of federal law. Why are laws not being enforced? They're being enforced on one group of people, but they're not being enforced on another group of people. And I think as you and I, we need to be very concerned about that. We need equal justice. We do.
Well, going back to the old, Donald Trump when he was at the campaigning, what was he yelling? I forget what it was, where he says to some guy, "Oh yeah, knock him down, hit him in the head. If he sues you, I'll take care of it." Or he said, "Oh, if I kill someone in Times Square, I won't be prosecuted." I mean, and how come for years minority groups have been held in jail because they could not afford bail money and they did not have a speedy trial. And some people
now we have career criminals, whether they be black, white, yellow, or brown. They're out on the street and they're killing people.
I agree with you. I think if somebody is arrested for a violent crime and he's indicted, they should, well, number one, they should have a speedy trial, but he should not be left without bail. But if he's if he's arrested for a petty crime, at least the first time, maybe even the second time, he should be not held in jail for 6 months without a trial. But
you have situations now. I mean, it's gone the other way. We have situations
I agree,
now
it's wrong.
where people are committing crimes with guns and they're out on the street basically within a couple of days. That's endangering everybody who's in the city, especially in New York.
I totally agree with you. We have absolutely no agreement.
What are we going to do? You think that Gascon, that
he's gone completely the other way, but is he totally wrong? No, because if people now you're complaining about the people from the January 6th are being held without bail. This for years, I mean, totally years, they had that with minority groups.
So wait a minute, Malcolm, is this called payback?
No, it's not payback, but it's nothing different.
Is this called payback? No, honestly, I think at this point right now, we're playing politics with people's lives and with American lives. And that's bogus.
Can both groups be held wrong? That's what I can't see. You either you're a Democrat or Republican, you have to go with a complete line. I don't agree. I mean, I'm disappointed a lot in what Biden is doing, and not his policies, but that he's not really taking command. I mean, from what I see, and I don't agree with you about the gas. I think part of it, which I think I mentioned, I was doing a show yesterday with a group of, it's called the Many Shades of Green, which is totally about greening, improving the planet. But I think he has to take what his policies, take a firm hand and do it. And
Well, they are
overcome.
doing it.
No, they're not. But he's not overcoming what he's trying to do. What I'm disappointed in him. He said, "Well, I am a mediator. I can get both parties together," and he hasn't. And what he has
Absolutely.
to
That's
do,
right.
and what he has to do
Yeah.
is take it a firm hand and become a leader. And what would a
Yeah.
leader do? He would have to get the buyback bet, build a better America.
Mhm.
You know what is it? Buy back better.
Build back
I
better.
forget. Build back better. Whatever it is. But
Whatever it is.
whatever it is, and he has to ramrod that through. And ramrodding it through, he has to do away with the.
But you just said we need to have some sort of compromise. We're not compromising with
I
either
know.
side.
I know.
Build Back Better was being held back by Democrat Joe Manchin and by Democrat Kristen Sinema. They're considered to be horrible, horrible people. Well, in many cases, they are speaking for a majority of Americans who say, hold it, wait a minute. We can't handle any more inflation here.
Well, the question is, if you're a leader, you got to do things that you do, and the majority of the people don't have to. It's not ruled by majority. As a matter of fact,
I understand that, but you can't continue to destroy American economics.
yeah, but destroying economics is destroyed many ways. I mean, it's the big government has screwed up. I mean, not even the big government, the big business has screwed up because their bottom line is profit, and they're the ones that took all the businesses and did it overseas because they make more money from it. They're the ones that had 80% of the baby formula with one company.
And all of that is now had started to come back under the prior administration because the tax laws changed to be able to make it better to stay in America rather than going down to Mexico or various other countries. Now, I agree with you. I like the fact that we have international trade and international travel.
Why they went better? Why they went to other countries? Other countries didn't have unions. I mean, the people in China or the people in Mexico or the people in Taiwan.
Well, you and I disagree about unions. I know I have been blackballed by many unions.
But they didn't make as much money as it costs a lot more to produce things in the United States because our people were paid minimum wage and had certain benefits than it is overseas. I mean, it's a complex issue.
But I believe in a free market situation. I know when I had my own company in Southern California, I paid $20 an hour, and I sat down with each and every one of my employees and I said, this is what I expect from you. I expect you to have the mentality of a partner. I'm paying you a lot of money, and I expect you to be eyes and ears, and I expect you to look at this company as yours and as being as part of the partners. On what it ended up doing, and we paid full benefits, health benefits, we had AFLAC, we had all of variety of different things. The company went just crazy with profit. It was marvelous, and we had profit sharing. Many of the good employers and many good businesses who are smart will go ahead and make sure that they have the best and the brightest employees. Like truly.
Right, but so why are all the why did the major car companies, why did all the major manufacturing companies go overseas to get their products done? It hasn't been only taxes, because they're American corporations. Not that they're incorporated in the foreign countries. It's because the labor is cheap. But then again, that's a whole thing. If the labor is cheap, are we taking advantage of these foreign companies, or are we giving people jobs that wouldn't have the jobs? Is the cost of living the same in China as it is in California or New York or even any place in the United States?
Certainly not for the Uyghurs.
There's a lot of issues. And when the companies are making money hand over fist, are they giving it to the people that work here? No, they're giving it to CEOs who are making millions of dollars a year plus overrides.
Well, the smart ones are making sure that their employees are kept online. The smart and profitable ones, and that's where you and I have talked about the stock market. It's unbelievable how many bad companies there are out there with absolutely no profits, nothing holding them up. The good companies that have good, solid bottom lines, got great employees, they've got great productivity. good profit margins. They've got low debt service and what have you. And those will be the companies that are going to be surviving the coming recession, if not depression.
But again, those companies are the problem. The problems are the companies, and I'm talking about major companies who have all their products and assembly and everything overseas. And they do it because
for example, you and I have talked about semiconductors. Semiconductors are finally starting to come back. However, most of the semiconductors are from two major employers, and that would be the Taiwan Semiconductor Group.
Right. And why do we let that happen? That's big business. That has nothing to do with government. It has to do with how can we make the buck.
But like I say, getting back to the situation, I do wish that there would be an opportunity for our good president, President Biden, to really utilize his ability to be able to keep this economy and keep Americans without the suffering. We are suffering at this point, the gasoline, the food prices, all of this, and for what reason? Once again, you and I are, in terms of climate change and all of that, fine. I want to have tax credits so that we have climate change actually being addressed technologically. We have the technological will to be able to do it. But at this point right now, shutting down all of the gas and the energy, this is what started this whole situation with inflation. And I got to tell you, Malcolm, it's going to get a lot worse. A lot worse.
But again, what are you risking when you all of a sudden, we should start drilling more for oil or coal? What are we risking? We're risking the future of the world. I mean, I know everybody says, well, China is doing it and India is doing fine. But we, as we've talked about this before, as a country, as the United States, we should be the leaders. And as leaders,
are you prepared for 21% interest rates?
I'm prepared for 21% interest rate.
Are you prepared for
wait, let me do the caveat. If it saves the world, are you prepared for 0 interest rate if we know that the world is going to be inhabitable in another 20-25 years?
Well, the bottom line,
are we sacrificing that?
Bottom line is, I want technology to be able to be utilized so that we don't destroy the world. But if we destroy ourselves in the meantime, what the hell is that going to prove? What is that going to prove?
We're not destroying ourselves. Even if we destroy our economy, let's say there's another depression and we live through several depressions. But the thing is, how do you fix the world? I mean, if we're all, let's say we're all rich and everything is fine, but another 20 years, the world is inhabitable.
And my question is,
let's look now. It's June. Today in San Fernando Valley, it's going to be in 100 degrees. If you want to get depressed, listen to the weather report all over the world. Listen to what's in your part of the world. See how often you had to go down to your basement.
But it's very typical. And I lived in the San Fernando Valley when I was a kid, and 100-degree plus weather was very, very typical. I'm not going to argue that we're having an increase in warming, because that's a superfluous argument at this point right now. But what I'm arguing is the fact I would really prefer to be able to see that we have the technology in place rather than cutting off our supply of energy independence, that we have the technology in place and we have the American know-how to be able to do it.
Yeah, but the Build Back Better is part of that budget is going. Now, again,
you can't keep spending.
But again, part of that budget is going to do just exactly what you want to do, is prepare.
No. Tax incentives have nothing to do with falling off money. Tax incentives are to a company, if you're able to develop this technology, and it is profitable, we will not tax you on that for umpteen number of years. They need to develop the technology. They need to have energy and the people to be able to develop that technology. The fact is, the government will not tax that profit. That's the bottom line. We're not giving away money. For example, President Obama gave away that money. What was it, Solyndra or something like that? How many billions of dollars for this solar company? Nothing. If you give people things like that, if you give people money, there's no incentive for them to go ahead and develop the technology. None whatsoever.
Well,
It's human nature.
that I agree with you, but the thing is, we have to, whether it be tax credits or whatever, we have to be developing these alternate sources of energy. We can't keep on going back to oil and to gas and to coal and to gas because we're destroying ourselves.
We have painted ourselves into an absolute.
I mean, not only us, all countries. And if all countries don't cooperate, as I get back to what I said earlier, it's one world. So if China and India are going to, keep on, producing all this, pollution and carbon, we'll all be destroyed. But do we have to join them and say, oh, okay, you're doing it, so let us do it?
Well, I think at this rate, to be very honest with you, I think many ordinary American families will be destroyed sooner than we will be having the world destroyed for climate change.
Well, as I say, I think basically what we all have to do is tighten our belts. As long as the world is uninhabitable, there's different things you might be able to do. You might not be able to go out to dinner as often, or you might not be able to drive as often, or you might not be able to get the big car as often. But that might be a sacrifice that you have to do for the overall good. But if you continue, if we continue,
we've already done it. We're down to 1 tank of gas. We're now down to 1 tank of gas every 2 months, which is basically under 200 miles. In terms of we never go out to eat. We have a very, very strict budget. But I mean, the bottom line is that they're talking about the fact that we actually may have, of all things, blackouts. You may be having blackouts there in Southern California. We're possibly looking at blackouts here. This is totally unnecessary. And yet we have a president that says this is the best economy that we've ever had.
Well, again, I'm not that enthralled with President Biden. I like his policies, but he hasn't been able to get it through.
Well, if he had gotten his policies through, what do you think would be different?
I'm not sure. I'd like to see. I'd like to judge it from there. Let's get the policies. Let's start developing. Get the money to. I mean, my big thing right now is climate change. I mean, I take a look at the. I don't know if you listen to National Geographic or BBC, but you go look at the polar caps. They're melting. They never melted before, and just you look at the oceans. The oceans are warming up. The temperatures and they're killing a lot of the sea life. It's all changing. The whole hurricanes are becoming fiercer.
And so turning off our energy independence is going to solve that. How does that solve it?
Energy independence, but it's not going to help us by continuing the same way we're continuing. You're right. We have to graduate.
Let's assume this. It stays exactly the way it is. We maintain no energy independence. We go to Venezuela, we go to Saudi Arabia, we go to all these places to beg to get some additional oil and what have you. With all of the suffering that we're going through now and the suffering that we are going to have to come through, what is going to change?
Well, if we continue the way we're continuing?
No. Right now, Biden's got all of his policies. He's got all of his Green New Deal policies in place. Everything is in place, ready to go. There's no more shale. There's no more drilling. There's no more pipelines. There's no more anything. Gas is going up to $6, $7, $8 a gallon. We have diesel starting to go into $9 a gallon. So at this point, everything will come to a standstill. And thank God then, according to the Green New Deal people, we won't have any carbon emissions, what have you. With all of this, what difference will it make?
Just saving the planet. If other countries go along with us.
Why would another
country?
Why would another country go along with us?
If they don't, but if they don't go along with us, we will destroy ourselves. You're
assuming that other countries are going to go along with us as we suffer at this point right now, and we have perhaps less food, we have no baby formula, all of these variety things, and we've cut off the oil and the gas. We've been doing this now for a year and a half. We're looking at inflation of 8.6%, et cetera, et cetera. we're all suffering, we're all paying more, we're all doing less, we're all out less. What do you hope is going to happen? What is actually going to happen? What is going to be the cause and effect?
The whole cause of the whole effect would be that the world wouldn't destroy ourselves, that the planet wouldn't be
And how long do you think that might take?
50 years.
Okay, so we can die
No,
in
no,
poverty.
let's say, as we're talking about, in 20 years from now, when I hit 100,
Mhm.
you know, the world hopefully will still be there. But you take this again, to me, it's so damn clear. If we continue the way we continue, and again, I'm not saying the US is the only country that has to do it, but someone has to be the leader. There's someone that says, okay, this is what we're doing, and we have to get the people involved. I mean, the people in China, the people in India, they're starving anyway.
Well, I mean, you talk about us being the leader. President Biden is in Los Angeles, and he was having the summit of all the Latin American countries. And even the president of Mexico basically thumbed his nose at the president and refused to come.
Well, not only Mexico, and I think Guatemala and El Salvador and
all the countries that all of the
right.
they're fleeing the countries that
is a very bad PR thing.
I
mean, that's one of the reasons I'm disappointed in Biden. He's not proven to be a leader.
We've got 20,000 migrants that are working their way up into the border. And once again, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how these folks are going to be assimilated.
And once again, it's a lot of it is due to the inactivity of our Congress. They have not made any policy. There is a policy about people coming in to the United States, legally or I forget the word again. Claiming that they can't, that they'll be killed in their own country, or they're starving, or for whatever reason. This country had always been known for that.
Yeah.
That we harbor, read the Statue of Liberty.
But why are we allowing the borders to be open, especially under a situation where all of us normal, everyday American citizens are having problems making ends meet at this point? If we take in the world, what is going to happen to our overall standard of living?
Well, how come the people that we elect to be our leaders, quote unquote, have not made any changes in immigration?
I don't get it. I'd like to have good, solid immigrants in here.
Right.
I would prefer not to have the child molesters or the murderers or the
terrorists. I agree. But everybody's held back on the border because there's no immigration policy.
Everybody's not being held back on the border. The number of people, do you realize that the number of people that are coming in?
They're coming illegally.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Do you want to get a machine gun at the border and shoot them down?
I don't want to do that, but I want to close the goddamn borders.
We'll take the army and put them at the border.
No. Just, for crying out loud.
Do you know any illegal aliens, immigrants?
Yes, I do.
Was it easy for them to come into this country?
No, it was not. And I disagree with the way the system works, so that good, hardworking immigrants who are coming in and are contributing to this country have to go through loops and hoops to try and become U.S. citizens. I disagree with it because attorneys are making a whole lot of money.
Forgetting about becoming U.S. citizens, how about becoming legal immigrants? I'm not talking about citizenship, which you have to do. I'm talking about the ability to come and live in this country.
I think we have a number of people who came here illegally, and there's been a couple of people around this neighborhood who've wanted to go ahead and report them in. We said, you know what? Why don't you shut up? Because guess what? They're doing fine here.
There's been no immigration policy. Here we have in California, a lot of the people that work the fields, a lot of the migratory workers, all they do is want to come in, earn their money, get work permits to earn their money during the season, then go back and support their families wherever in Central America and Mexico. Why don't we have the work permits?
Well,
They're not trying to become citizens. They're not
why
becoming.
do we have such an influx of people coming in to the United States and coming in illegally? Why?
Because they're in their own country, their lives are endangered. And we
No,
have always, and we
wait,
have always,
we
and
had a
we have always
president
been
who
known.
we had a president who is at this point has continued to invite them on in.
No,
As a-
well, he's done it, but again, he's partly to blame because of lack of leadership, but the whole Congress is to blame, Democrats and Republicans. Again, I hate to say a pox on their head. Let's throw them out. Let's not have people that have been in the government for 50, 60 years run our country. That's including Dems and Republicans.
Thank
That's
you.
and Nancy Pelosi, what, is 81 years old.
Yes.
McCarthy is how old is he? Is in the 70s.
He's pretty young.
Yeah, in comparison to the,
He's a kid.
but the world is young. This country should be ruled by young people who know what a computer is.
Well, I don't care what the age is. I just want common sense leaders. And at this point right now, I don't feel as though we're being represented. I don't think that there is empathy for people who are living on fixed incomes, who are trying the best they can, working at Home Depot or working at Walmart. There just doesn't seem to be any appreciation for the price of gas, the price of food, all of these various things. Shelter is going up 15% on a monthly basis. I mean, this is nuts.
Again, I agree with you, and I agree it's part of both Democrats and Republicans. It's not one or the other. It's both parties are. Everybody, you're talking about, why it's a compromise, because people, when they're elected, they're Democrats or Republicans, and there's no crossover.
And I know this is gonna get you riled up, but what I don't understand, because I voted both ways I'm an independent voter. All right. I may be going conservative, but I'm an independent voter. What I don't understand is with this prior administration, why we didn't have runaway inflation. I don't understand why we didn't have a lot of the troubles that we have right now. Why do we have less of a standing now in the world where we didn't have that problem with the prior administration?
Well, that I disagree with you. I think we have a better standing in the world. I think that our allies were more know that we're going to defend them, that there's a strength. I think when the previous administration was, I don't think, he was basically friendly with, wanted to do away with, Europe with NATO and not defend the countries. I think we're in a better standing now.
He made NATO pay. That's, and he did make them pay up.
I think the only thing with people are laughing at us, I think, talking about other countries, I think they're looking at the fact that there was that riot, that coup, where they say, oh, the United States isn't, it's like all the rest of us.
You mean the Afghanistan withdrawal?
The Afghanistan withdrawal, well, there was a lot of things, but do you realize we're up to about 35 minutes already, 36 minutes?
God. Well, like I said, I just want to talk about it on a nonpartisan basis. Why did we have inflation at 1.2% with the prior administration? Why do we have such runaway inflation now? What can Biden do differently to change this? Because the rich are not, Malcolm, the rich are not feeling this. The Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Mitch McConnell's of the world, the Bidens of the world, they're not feeling this.
No.
It's people like you and me and our family. We're feeling this. But why did we not feel this in the prior administration?
No, we felt it in the prior administration. We felt the fact that the rich got richer during the Trump administration. It's, the top 1%, may double. The factory workers didn't do the make more money.
I was able to afford my gasoline, and I was able to have my baby back rib.
Yeah, but how long have you moved?
6.5 years.
So you had to move because it was too expensive, right?
Oh, well, the rents in Santa Barbara were something else. 700 square feet, $2,300 a month.
What are the big towns in the shishi towns in South Carolina?
Well, obviously,
Savannah?
Greenville is, no, Savannah's in Georgia, but you've got Columbia, you've got Charleston.
Can you afford to live in Charleston in a good neighborhood?
heavens to Betsy, I don't want to live.
Oh, okay, so could you afford to live in San Bernardino if you were in California?
Um,
You,
I probably
you happen to live, for people who don't know, you lived in uh,
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is one of the wealthy areas. It's right on the beach. It's a coastal town. It's like living in Santa Monica or Malibu. It's one of the she towns in California. If I lived here, I live in Sherman Oaks in the San Fernando Valley, which is affordable part. But if I wanted the Hollywood Hills or Beverly Hills, or I couldn't afford that now. I mean, I can afford this now, but I couldn't afford Beverly Hills. If I lived in Manhattan, if I lived in New York City, and I lived in parts of Brooklyn and the Bronx, I could afford it. I couldn't afford to live in Manhattan. On that note, I can't afford all this time, the extra time.
Okay.
For that, we had a good, lively debate.
We did have a good, lively debate, and I hope everybody that's watch some of the other programs on Malcolm Presents. They're very, very interesting, and they're ordinary folks.
Talk to those people that you had dinner with the other day.
Oh, I will. I hope that
have them take a look at the website.
I will.
I always use someone that's in marketing. I might be doing another show called We the World.
Ooh, nice. What's it going to be about?
Which is again, I'll talk to you off camera about that.
Okay.
But anyway, you have a good week.
I will. You too, my dear.
Keep dry and keep cool.
Hey, you too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.